I raised my son alone for 23 years. I gave him everything I had. And on the day he got married, he stole my credit card to pay for his honeymoon. But what he didn't know was that I had already canceled it. The real shock came when he stood at that airport check-in counter, suitcase in hand, new bride beside him, and realized that the mother he took for granted had finally stopped being his safety net. Some lessons cost more than money. They cost dignity. And if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, stay with me. Because this story ends exactly the way it should. My name is Carol. I'm 62 years old, and I live in a small town just outside Tacoma, Washington. For most of my life, I worked 2 jobs. I was a medical receptionist during the day and cleaned office buildings at night. I did this because my husband left when our son Ryan was 3. He didn't just leave emotionally, he disappeared. No child support, no phone calls, no explanation, just gone. So it was me and Ryan, and I told myself that I would give him the life he deserved, even if it meant I had none left for myself. I never remarried. I never dated. I didn't take vacations. I didn't buy new clothes unless the old ones were falling apart. Everything I earned went into raising him. I paid for his braces. I paid for his sports fees. I drove him to every practice, every game, every school event. I stayed up late helping with homework I barely understood. I packed his lunches. I washed his uniforms. I showed up every single day. And when he graduated high school, I was so proud I cried in the parking lot. He was going to college. My son, the boy I raised alone. He was going to have opportunities I never had. I took out loans to help pay for his tuition. He worked part-time, but it wasn't enough. So I covered the rest. I told him not to worry. I told him to focus on his studies. And he did. He graduated with a degree in business. He got a good job at a logistics company in Seattle. He moved into his own apartment. He started making real money. And for the first time in my life, I thought maybe I could breathe. Maybe I could finally think about myself. Maybe I could retire in a few years and rest. But that's not what happened. Ryan met a woman named Ashley. She was 26, blonde, worked in marketing, and came from a family with money. The kind of money that buys lake houses and European vacations. The kind of money that makes people like me invisible. From the moment I met her, I felt it. She looked at my small house, my old furniture, my worn-out hands, and I could see it in her eyes. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't the kind of mother-in-law she wanted. And slowly, quietly, Ryan started to change. He stopped calling as often. He stopped visiting. When I asked about his life, his answers got shorter. When I invited him for dinner, he was always busy. And when he got engaged, I found out from a Facebook post. Not a phone call, not a visit, a post. With a photo of Ashley's ring and a caption about forever. I stared at that screen for an hour. I didn't cry. I just felt cold. Like something inside me had finally frozen over. The wedding was planned quickly. 6 months. Ashley's parents paid for most of it. The venue was a vineyard an hour outside the city. Elegant, expensive. And I was invited, of course. But I wasn't involved. I wasn't asked to help plan. I wasn't asked for input. I was just a name on a guest list. A box to check. The groom's mother. Present and irrelevant. I bought a new dress for the wedding. It was the first time in years I'd spent money on myself like that. I wanted to look nice. I wanted Ryan to be proud of me. I wanted to feel like I mattered. And on the day of the wedding, I showed up early. I sat in the second row, alone, while Ashley's family filled the front. I watched my son stand at the altar and smile at a woman who had known him for 2 years. 2 years. I had known him for 23. I had raised him, sacrificed for him, loved him when no one else did. and I was sitting in the second row. The reception was beautiful. There were speeches, laughter, dancing. I sat at a table near the back with a few distant relatives I barely knew. Ryan didn't come over to talk to me. Ashley didn't acknowledge me. I was just there, a shadow. When it was time for the mother-son dance, Ryan did his duty. He walked over, took my hand, and we danced for 2 minutes. He didn't look at me. He didn't say anything meaningful. He just moved through the motions, and when the song ended, he kissed my cheek and walked away. I went home that night feeling like a stranger at my own son's wedding. 2 days later, I checked my bank account. I always check it in the morning. It's a habit from years of living paycheck to paycheck. And that's when I saw it. A charge for $6,300. It was from a luxury resort in Maui. I stared at the screen. My heart started pounding. I didn't make that charge. I hadn't been to Hawaii in my entire life. I called the bank immediately. The woman on the phone was kind. She asked me security questions. She pulled up the transaction. And then she told me the charge was made using my credit card. The name on the reservation was Ryan Walker, my son. My son had used my credit card to book his honeymoon. Without asking, without telling me, he had just taken it, stolen it, used me one more time. I sat there in my kitchen, phone in my hand, and I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt something break. Something that had been bending for years finally snapped. And I realized that I had spent my entire life being used by my ex-husband, by my son, by everyone who saw me as a tool instead of a person. And I was done. I asked the bank representative to cancel the card immediately. She said she could, but that any charges already processed would still go through. I told her I understood. I told her to cancel it anyway. And then I hung up. I sat at that table for a long time. The morning light came through the window. My coffee went cold. And I made a decision. I was not going to call Ryan. I was not going to warn him. I was not going to give him a chance to fix it or apologize or make excuses. I was going to let him find out the hard way, the way I found out that I didn't matter. Ryan and Ashley were flying out 3 days after the wedding. I knew because Ashley had posted their itinerary on Instagram. 7 nights in Maui, oceanfront suite, couples spa, sunset dinners, all on my dime. Except it wasn't. Not anymore. I spent those 3 days in silence. I didn't reach out. I didn't post. I didn't tell anyone. I just waited. And on the morning of their flight, I woke up at 5 a.m. I made coffee. I sat on my porch, and I imagined what was about to happen. I imagined Ryan standing at that check-in counter at SeaTac Airport, confident, excited, handing over his ID, waiting for his boarding pass. I imagined the moment the agent told him there was a problem. I imagined his confusion, his panic, his realization, and I smiled. My phone rang at 7:30 a.m. It was Ryan. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Then a text. Mom, call me. Emergency. I didn't respond. Another call. Another text. Mom, please, I'm at the airport. There's a problem with the card. Call me back. I turned my phone face down and drank my coffee. He called 6 more times. Then Ashley called. I didn't answer. Then Ryan left a voicemail. His voice was tight, frustrated, almost angry. Mom, I don't know what's going on, but the card got declined. The whole reservation is canceled. We're stuck here. I need you to call me back right now. I deleted it. An hour later, my phone rang again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. I answered. It was Ashley. Her voice was sharp, entitled, cold. Carol, this is Ashley. I don't know what happened, but your card didn't work, and now our honeymoon is ruined. We need you to fix this. Ryan says you can call the resort and give them another card. Can you do that today? I took a slow breath. I let the silence sit. And then I said, no. She paused. What do you mean, no? I mean, no. I'm not fixing it. I didn't book that trip. Ryan took my card without asking. So whatever happens now is between him and the resort. Her voice went ice cold. Are you serious? This is his honeymoon. Our honeymoon. You're really going to do this? I didn't do anything, Ashley. Ryan did. And now he's learning something I should have taught him a long time ago. You don't take from people who love you and expect them to keep giving. She hung up. Ryan called again 10 minutes later. This time I answered. Mom, what the hell is going on? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't yell. I just said, you used my credit card without asking me, Ryan. You stole from me. I didn't steal. I was going to pay you back. You didn't ask. You didn't tell me. You just took it. That's stealing. Mom, come on. It's my honeymoon. I needed help. I thought you'd understand. Understand? You didn't even invite me to help plan your wedding. You barely spoke to me at the reception. You've been pulling away from me for 2 years, and now you want me to understand? His voice cracked, not with sadness, with frustration. I don't have time for this. We're standing in the airport. People are staring. Can you just fix this? No. Mom, no, Ryan. I'm not fixing it. I canceled the card. Whatever you do now is up to you. There was silence. Then he said something I'll never forget. You're being selfish. I almost laughed. Selfish. I worked 2 jobs for 20 years to raise you. I paid for your braces, your college, your life. I gave you everything I had. And the one time I say no, I'm selfish? You're ruining my honeymoon. No, Ryan. You did that yourself. And I hung up. I didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. No calls, no texts, nothing. And I didn't reach out either. I went to work. I came home. I sat on my porch. I read books. I slept better than I had in years. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't carrying someone else's weight. Then, one evening, there was a knock on my door. It was Ryan. He looked tired, thin, uncomfortable. Ashley wasn't with him. I opened the door, but I didn't invite him in. I just stood there and waited. Can I come in? He asked. Why? Because I want to talk. Then talk. He shifted on his feet, looked down, looked back up. I'm sorry. For what? For taking your card, for not asking, for everything. I crossed my arms. Do you even know what everything is, Ryan? He didn't answer. You've spent the last 2 years making me feel like I don't matter. You stopped visiting. You stopped calling. You got engaged and didn't tell me. You got married and I sat in the back like a stranger. And then you stole from me. So when you say you're sorry for everything, I need you to tell me what that means. Because I don't think you actually know. His jaw tightened. Ashley said I should come talk to you. And there it was. He wasn't here because he wanted to be. He was here because she told him to. I nodded slowly. Tell Ashley I appreciate the effort, but you can go now. Mom, don't be like this. Like what? Honest? Tired? Done? You're my mom. I am, and I always will be. But that doesn't mean I'm your ATM. It doesn't mean I'm your backup plan. It doesn't mean I'll let you use me and pretend it's love. He stared at me, and for the first time, I think he saw me. Not as his mother, not as the woman who gave him everything, but as a person who was hurt, a person who was done. I really am sorry, he said quietly. I believe you, but sorry doesn't undo 2 years of being ignored. Sorry doesn't undo theft. Sorry is just a word unless it comes with change. He nodded. He looked like he wanted to say more, but he didn't. He just turned and walked back to his car. I watched him drive away, and I closed the door. 3 months passed. I didn't hear from Ryan. I didn't hear from Ashley. And I was okay with that. I started taking art classes at the community center. I joined a book club. I went on walks. I started living for myself. And it felt strange at first. Guilty even. But slowly, it started to feel right. Then one Saturday morning, my phone rang. It was Ryan. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. So I did. Mom? Yes. Can I come over? I hesitated. Why? Because I need to talk to you, for real this time. Not because Ashley told me to, because I need to. I thought about it. Then I said, okay. He came over that afternoon, alone. He sat on my couch, hands folded, looking more like the boy I raised than the man he'd become. And he started talking, really talking. He told me that the weeks after the wedding had been hard, that Ashley's family had paid for a smaller honeymoon trip, but that it felt hollow, that he couldn't stop thinking about what I'd said, that he'd started seeing a therapist, that he realized he'd been ashamed of me, not because of who I was, but because Ashley's family had money and status, and I didn't. And he was ashamed of being ashamed. He cried. He apologized. He told me he wanted to do better. He told me he missed me. And I listened. I didn't interrupt. I didn't dismiss him. I just let him talk. And when he was done, I said, "Thank you for telling me that. Do you forgive me?" I took a breath. I'm working on it. Forgiveness isn't a switch, Ryan. It's a process, and it takes time. But I'm willing to try. If you're willing to show up, really show up. He nodded. I will, I promise. Then we'll see. It's been a year since then. Ryan and I talk once a week now. He visits once a month. He's learning to see me as more than just his mother. He's learning to value sacrifice. He's learning that love isn't automatic. It's built. And sometimes it has to be rebuilt. Ashley and I are civil. We'll never be close. But I don't need us to be. I don't need her approval. I don't need her family's money or status. I just need respect. And slowly, I'm getting it. I still live in my small house. I still drive my old car. I still work, though I've cut back my hours. And I'm okay. More than okay. I'm free. Free from the weight of being used. Free from the need to prove my worth through sacrifice. Free to just be Carol, a woman who gave everything and finally learned to keep something for herself. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, I want you to know something. Your worth is not measured by how much you give. It's not measured by how much you sacrifice. It's measured by how you see yourself. And the moment you stop letting people take from you without giving back, everything changes. It's not selfish. It's survival. It's dignity. And dignity is something no one can take from you unless you let them.